Well, welcome back to Tales on the Farm and Flappy Pappy. Oh, hello, baby. We got our mistletoe jumping right up on me here. We're out here taking a look at our loofahs and just wanted to share a few things that I've learned about harvesting these loofahs. It's been a very fun year for me. I've never done this before, and just trying to share some of the things I've learned. And getting right into it here, one of the big processes, as you can see, still got a little piece of skin attached here. This should be able to peel off at this point. But as you can see, there's still a little bit of the flesh. These are basically, when they're on the vine, these are basically just like a giant zucchini. You've got the green skin on the outside and then the fleshy bits on the inside. But unlike zucchini, there's this kind of exoskeleton of the wood fibers that actually make a loofah for what, humans use. After you've dried it, you can see there's still kind of this scaly bit in here. This is not a mold or anything. This is just simply leftover parts of that flesh on the inside that has to just dry out naturally. Having harvested it a little bit later this year, I didn't get a chance to let these all dry out on the vine, which is the ideal. I've had to do it slowly, leaving them in the crawl space with a dehumidifier and then getting them outside in the sun when we've had sun. And now I've got this little bit going, and so the next step for these, now that they are dry, I can squeeze it, it kind of retains its shape. I can now go ahead and start rinsing these and scrubbing them in the sink to get all of this little fleshy bit out. And then the other part, of course, you're shaking out the seeds. There's so many seeds inside these, it's kind of ridiculous. See my pile here, and here's an example of what they still look like with the skin attached. And as we peel some of this back, you can see just how all of those fibers are in there. But I can tell you, here's the moisture coming out. They're still very wet, but I think they're finally dried to a point where I can get the skin the rest of the way off. And while we have sun today, at least, I can go and get these out in the backyard to dry out a little bit more quickly. But yeah, as you can see here, with the way this is coming apart, there's still a good bit of that flesh on the inside underneath, the fibrous structure. And that just has to be allowed to continue to dry to get it to something more like this. And again, this is just, the white flaky bits. There is nothing wrong with that. That all rinses off, no problem. Same thing here, more of it. Some scales coming off of the top here. That's just the remnants of that dried flesh on the inside. However, bad things can happen if they don't dry out quite right. And if this is coming through, there's kind of a very faint grayish web kind of growing in between all of the fibers and everything. That is mold. And that, unfortunately, there's not, to my knowledge, anything you can really do about that. So when you're working on just peeling skin off the green ones, as you can see, they still stay very wet underneath, and that's what creates such a propensity for letting these rot out or mold accidentally. It's just with that amount of moisture and this late in the year when we don't have as much sun and the heat to be able to help dry them out, you have to be really, really careful, because otherwise they will just mold and rot. And there's just, it's just a natural process of the decay. But we want them to become nice fibrous structures like this, and not something that's moldy that we can't use. And also when you're getting ready to wash them and rinse them, the other thing you got to do, we can look inside here, there's just all these seeds. Every single loofah just has dozens upon dozens of seeds. And it's best, especially if you're using your kitchen sink like I am, you don't want all these going down your drain. So you can beat these. I mean, they're pretty strong. You're not going to break them. And just keep shaking out as many of the seeds as you possibly can and try to help get them cleared out. As you can see there, there's more at the top. Beat that side of it. Just keep shaking all the seeds out. That's what's nice, is that these are going to be so easy to get growing again next year, because, look at all this. Just hundreds of seeds everywhere, and they just got, a light little film on top. There's a couple little fleshy bits from what I was just peeling on top of them, but there's just endless seeds in here. So to begin with washing your loofahs out, it's really important, if you're doing a whole lot of them, you don't want to waste too much water, so you might be better off filling a tub or a Rubbermaid container, whatever you've got, fill it with a few gallons of water and be able to wring and squeeze these out. But for demonstration purposes, we're just using the kitchen sink here. Set it on the sprayer setting, and you can see got all that fibrous bits in there right now. You can see it's full of all those little dried bits of the flesh that was on the inside of them. There's still a few seeds left in there, but all of that bit is about to wash out right now. So let's show that. As you're washing it, you can feel that they start to get a little bit more give, and that's when the structure becomes more flexible. And you can, I'm squeezing this quite hard here. It springs back, and as it dries, it will just kind of retake its shape. But right now, we're just washing out all those extra bits, and especially adding all this water in, you get all that really lovely, it's kind of like a honeydew melon, kind of like a sweet gourd scent to it. And that's really how you know that your loofahs are still good and that they haven't been, they haven't gone bad on you in any way, that they still smell like a fresh melon. But you just keep squeezing. If you've got some darker spots, maybe use your fingernails, scrub them a little bit. But it's, again, when you have the little bit of discoloration, like these spots right here, that is not a problem. It's just discoloration from having the inside of the loofah come in contact with the skin as the skin was drying. You can buy ones online that are bleached and all the rest, but would you rather just have a little bit of discoloration from a natural loofah, or do you want to have to go through a whole bleaching process and really kind of defeat the purpose of having an all-natural product like this? It just wears away, because as you scrub with this, that will just disappear. And the loofahs do become a bit of a lighter color as you use them. But I've found there is just so much flesh inside of these that one rinse is usually not quite enough. If you're showering where you're constantly draining out the water, when you're using these, you may not notice the film that kind of builds up. But if you're using these in the tub, you will, if you've only rinsed them once, you will notice a little bit of a film around the sides of the tub. And that's not anything bad. It's, again, it's an all-natural gourd. It's not anything that's going to cause any irritation unless you have, some allergy to these or something. It's just a natural part of the process, but I'm finding that to get rid of that, you do need to rinse and dry these more than once. And then just to give an example, this is actually the one we've been using for the last few weeks here, and you can see it's gotten, it's very flexible now, even though it's fully dried, whereas, they're not quite so flexible when you first start using them. But just like anything, as you're, scrubbing with these, the fibers will wear away, and eventually this will just become nothing, or it'll just be too small and skimpy to use. And at that point, you can throw it away. You have to make sure they dry out well in between uses, because otherwise, being a natural product, they can get moldy. But otherwise, this is just a nice natural little scrubber. This one's probably 3 weeks old at this point, and still going strong. Should be able to get at least another week or so out of it. But that's basically what this once was. It started off nice and big like this. You can see the inside of the structure. But as it wears away, it just thins out, and that's how you know it's time to get another one. And as we move outside here, these two that we just washed, we're going to go ahead and just leave them out in the sun to dry. And of course, these were the ones that I had just peeled in the front, so we want to let those get as much sunlight as we can. And then these three are ones that I had just rinsed out and are drying. And you can see they're got rid of all their fleshy bits. But as I was just explaining, we'll probably do another rinse and wash for them to make sure that there's not too much of a film or anything that comes off of them when they get used in the shower or the tub. So that's an example of what it's like peeling, cleaning, and drying, and the process of getting loofahs ready to use. And it's just really that easy. Again, a little bit tedious, but really not that much to ask of ourselves. And it just has such a wonderful effect, especially if you have dry skin or anything like that. Using loofahs to wash with just makes such a huge difference in the health of your skin, our biggest organ, of course. But nevertheless, as always, thank you so very much for watching. and we will be back again soon with more. And for right now, I've got little puppies that desperately need to play. Get it, Miso.